Hello, it's another lovely wet day out here. Again, sitting in the car because it's hoofing down. Today, going to have a little talk about toxicity. There you go. It's not a long word, but it's a hard one to pronounce, and I managed it. What is toxicity? Well, we all know that toxic's another word for poisonous. Toxicity is where that poison starts coming in, and it could be any stage of your life, really. Sorry, I'm just going to adjust the camera. It's quite often used in terms of the work environment, but it could be your home environment sometimes, or it could be a hobby, anything, a club, youth organisation. I mean, let's have it right. People are people, and in life we're not always going to get on with everybody. And as we get older, we do learn to kind of accept that. You know, I'm not talking about when you go through the bullying in school where, like, everyone has a go and it seems to be a free-for-all. But we've been there, we've done that topic. You know, if you're working in a team, the bigger the team, the less likely it is that everyone's going to get on. But you get common goals, whether that's hitting targets at work or, I don't know, let's take my first love in life, football. You've got a football team and you've all got a common goal, which is obviously to win games. If you're playing competitively, to win leagues, win trophies, win cups. If you're home environment, I suppose your common goal would be somewhere safe and happy. And, you know, that's what a team's all about. Now, when you've got a toxic environment, it makes things less than enjoyable, less than stellar. And, you know, you could build the best team in the world. You could have the Real Madrid of whatever business you're in. Or you could actually be Real Madrid, I suppose. And it just takes one person to blow the whole lot out of kilter, doesn't it? It could be negging, which is continual negativity. And yeah, I know. Worst one for it. I know. It could be what I would describe as the name of the game being evolution, which is almost turning themselves into the highest form of life. You know, the sort that want a promotion and just slag everyone off and try and destroy everybody, try and get matey with the bosses. Not in a good way, but in a bad way. So that can make things very toxic very, very quickly, and it can make it very poisonous, very unpleasant atmosphere. Even something stupid like banter. You know, offence is taken but not given. So let's talk about what we mean by that. You can say something, and it can be something that you think is really, really banal. And if you're saying it to somebody and they find it offensive, then they've taken offence. Now, one of the worst ones, when I was a prison officer, we got taught, know your audience. I didn't, and I'm holding my hands up to that. I never seem to know my audience. I'm great at telling people to do it. I'm not so good at doing it myself. And I know my language at times can go really, really off kilter, and it can be really, really inappropriate. And there's been a few times I've effed and jeffed, to use a Jeremy Kyleism, in front of somebody that doesn't appreciate bad language. And they've found it offensive. I don't find swearing offensive at all. They do. So they've taken offence to that. So, hands up. Fair one. My dad, funny enough, being one of them. Hated swearing around women and kids. What him and his mates said or did in their own time was down to them. I can only remember my old man saying bloody, and that was rarely, whereas me and mum, you know, we could really go for it. Anyway, so let's move it on from swearing. Let's take it on to what could be classed as, or what you would think is banter. There's a thin line between banter and bullying. When that line's crossed, it can cause a really bad environment. I mean, sometimes what happens now is you get pylons. One person starts, they all start. One of the worst things for that, I've found, is social media groups, WhatsApp, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups. It's, you know, one person starts, everyone starts. And, yeah, it can go south really, really quickly. Someone comes into a job and within 2 minutes they know it all. They'll start dropping little gems in about, oh, did you know this person said that, or this person said that, just to stir the shit. You know, you might get a team that have been together for some time and they're quite tight and cliquey, and then someone new comes in and they won't accept them. They'll start trying to isolate them a little bit. Won't work. Won't welcome them. And this causes toxic workplaces. This causes toxic teams. This, you know, it can cause the whole thing to break down, and it can cause people to break down. So what can we do to stop it? Well, we need to be honest, and we need to keep a lookout for it. Managers need to be accountable, you know, be it work managers, managing directors, team managers, team leaders, even down to supervisors, down to every single family member. You know, we need to be a bit more accountable for this. We need to be aware that it can happen. And we need to know the warning signs. What are the warning signs? Well, if you've got a team that's worked really well together, everyone's got on and it's all been fine, and then all of a sudden you get a new member and it all starts going wrong, cliques start forming, there's a little bit of stirring going on, you need to look at who might be responsible for that, and you need to nip it in the bud, and you need to nip it in the bud quickly. Generally, you can do it very quickly with just calling them over and just saying to them, look, stop. We could do it ourselves. If someone's coming out with what they think's banter, and you know it's going to affect the person the banter is aimed at, call them out on it. It's another prison service thing. Challenge it, change it. You know, we used to get told, if you hear discriminatory language, call someone out on it, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a prisoner. And you can do the same in any life. You know, if someone's, I don't know, let me think of an example. On a rant, let's say, we'll pick something about transgenders, and they sit there saying, I don't believe in pronouns, blah, blah, blah. Challenge that view. You don't need to be impolite. You just need to say something like, well, hang on a minute. Do you not think by saying that you're removing someone's dignity and self-respect, someone's identity? Someone's being homophobic, change it. Call them out on it. You don't need to be aggressive. You can just, it might stop them. One of the best things to do is, if someone's coming out with really stupid racist joke. Okay, let's go down to this one, okay? You've got a young lady working in an office, for example, and one of her colleagues is a slightly older gentleman, slightly misogynistic, and he'll pull the old joke if she dropped something in front of him. She goes down to pick it up and he gives it the age-old, "Oh, while you're down there, love." Is that really acceptable in 2022? It's not really, is it? So, best way to do it is say to him, "What do you mean?" Get him to explain it. And, well, why is that funny? 9 times out of 10, they'll get really embarrassed and they'll think about their behaviour. If you're in a group and there seems to be a pylon, and I don't mean an electric pylon, you know, where everyone starts, and you think, hang on a minute, this is getting out of hand, call it out, stop it. You know, say to them, hold on, why is that funny? Just, yeah, like I say, it could be anything. If you're a parent and you've got 2 kids going at each other, hammer and tongs, you can always stop them by saying, right, hang on a minute, what's going on? They'll turn and go, and why is that funny? You know, 2 siblings, one's autistic, the other one calls him a retard. Again, challenge that view, change it. As a manager, what can you do? You can keep an eye on the situation. If you can see things are getting out of hand, you can take action to stop it. It doesn't have to be a formal action. You know, it can be an unofficial, not even a warning, just an unofficial word of advice. You know, toxicity destroys teams. Toxicity can destroy a business. It can take you 20, 30 years to build a business up and make money. It can take a nanosecond for that to be destroyed. Managers, don't be toxic. Don't play favourites. Don't micromanage. Don't think because you're a manager, you're the highest form of life. Don't think you're infallible. Talk to your team. I mean, as a manager myself, I do try and listen to my team as much as I can. If anyone's got a suggestion and it's a viable suggestion, we'll try it. If it's not a viable suggestion, depending on who the person is and my relationship with them, I might sit down and be very polite and say to them, okay, well, look, that's not going to happen, and this is why it's not going to happen. Or I might just say to them, don't be a twat. You know better than that. I mean, COVID. I had one team member that was really, really, really trying to stir it up. So much so, we just had to say sayonara because, you know, it was we were arguing about, what was it? Furlough. And all my guys were self-employed contractors, so obviously they weren't entitled to furlough. And she was trying to stir it up, saying that they were. And we were trying to explain to her, well, no, you know, you're entitled to it because you're a limited company. Limited company and self-employed contractors are 2 completely different entities, and she wasn't having a bar of it. And then that got everyone else overexcited. I tried telling them, the managing director tried telling them they weren't listening. And my God, did it cause some grief. Oh, wow. All because this one person won't accept that they're wrong and that one size doesn't fit all. I mean, she was quite toxic in herself anyway. She was very patronising, very condescending. Really wasn't a team player. So, you know. But, I mean, I've called staff members out. I mean, I've had a guy working for me before that was racist, homophobic. You know, he's one of these that wants to try and make himself out to be a lot more important than he is. And there's times I've heard it. I've heard whispers on the grapevine from a couple of my other managers. What he said and what he's done to new staff. And I've had to pull him about it. And I've never gone over the top. I've just said to him, right, that's not happening. I want you to think about this. I want you to consider how that person feels. I want you to consider how you speak to that person and how you would like it if they speak to you. And again, with knowing your audience, you know, sometimes in group chats I'm in, for work. There's been a couple of memes or gifs that are a little bit over the top, shall we say, a little bit inappropriate. And again, I've called it out. You know, and that's all you can do. Sometimes people don't know they're doing it, admittedly. Other times all they do know what they're doing. So yeah, you need to call it out as a manager. You know, you can't let it go on if you see it going on. It needs to stop. One of the best things you can do as a manager is learn about your team. Learn what makes them tick as individuals. Brian Clough, because can you tell he's one of my heroes, used to have this amazing knack of knowing which players needed his size 10s up their Marmite motorways and which players needed an arm round the shoulder. I try to be a manager in my working life like that. Know which of my staff need that little bit of extra encouragement, being taught, okay, well, this is where you went wrong, but, you know, you're great at what you do, and this is how we're going to fix it. And which ones do need to be told, you know better than this, come on, what are you doing? That's the art of being a good manager, isn't it? You need to know your people. And if you know your people, and you know what makes them tick, quite often you'll know what their personal values are. You'll know about their personalities, you'll know what will upset them. You'll know almost where their boundary is. So, if you see it going on, and you see 5 or 10 minutes, and it's really, the person on the receiving end is really not enjoying it, or you think it's starting to get a bit out of line, stop it. I don't care if it's one of your friends doing it. I don't care if your temptation is to run with it and join in because you still want to be one of the lads. No. The majority is not always in the right. And like I say, toxicity spreads. You know, toxicity and negativity, they spread faster than any virus. They are viruses. You know, nip it in the bud, stop it. And guys, when you're going about your day, try to think about how your actions affect others. You know, how what you're saying can affect others. You know, just because you're having a bad day, don't take it out on everybody else. And we're going to go back again to buddy checks. You know, if you know somebody is normally really extroverted and really out there, and they're really quiet, ask if they're okay. You know, because, again, something might be bugging them. And if it's out in the open, it's going to help, isn't it? It's much better than them sitting there all quiet, unable to perform. And if you've got someone that's normally really, really quiet and they're suddenly mouthing and everything else, again, ask if they're all right. Sometimes people can go into manic stages. A lot of the time, somebody that is genuinely suicidal, before they commit that final act, their mood will absolutely lift because they've found the answer to their problems in their head. You know, the depression's gone. Know your team, know your friends, work together. Don't spread toxicity, don't spread hate, don't be a twat, just be a good person. If we're all good people, life's going to be a lot easier, isn't it? And that's work, play, home, whatever. There's no need for it. I'm going back into the office because I know I'm sitting in my car, but it's absolutely pissing it down. And I've got the driver's door open to get rid of this. Plus, I do have a shit ton to do this afternoon. So there's your thoughts for today anyway from me. It's not a lecture, it's not me getting on my hind legs, it's just some thoughts. Thoughts of how we can stop it, thoughts of how we can start to think more about how our actions affect others. I'm very open about the fact that I was a selfish little bastard right the way through to about 35, and then I had an epiphany. I realised that what I've done over the years, it's not just affected me and my life, it's affected everyone else around me. So now I try my best not to do it. I always try to keep my natural sarcastic streak to a minimum, because if you don't know me very well, you will think I'm digging you out, and I'm quite aware of that these days. So yeah, anyway, you guys have a good one. It's lunchtime at the moment, but I won't upload this till tonight, because I quite like my phone battery where it is. Have fun. See ya.